Thanks, Dave. Good afternoon. This is a convening of the Massachusetts Gaming Commission. It is a public hearing and a public meeting. Because it has a component of a public meeting, I'll do our roll call. Good afternoon, Commissioner O'Brien.
Good afternoon, I'm here.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Hill.
Good afternoon, I'm here.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Skinner.
Good afternoon.
And good afternoon, Commissioner Maynard.
Good afternoon.
Okay, today is Thursday, October 26th. We are holding this public hearing today to address for a presentation on modifications of the Community Mitigation Fund, as well as to get public input on that. We want to thank those who are participating today from the public that are and will be joining us. Massachusetts Gaming Commission is proposing significant changes to the Community Mitigation Fund. Our Communities Affairs team, led by Chief Joe Delaney, has been working diligently on this proposal over the past several months, and we are convening today, as I said, to hear from the public and get their input. We appreciate each member of the public who has signed up to offer testimony, as well as those who have submitted written comments. And as a reminder, public comment will be accepted until Monday, October 30th at 4 p.m. by emailing mgccomments@massgaming.gov, and I'm sure that our team will go over that again, but again, mgccomments@massgaming.gov. Thank you again to the public. We look forward to your testimony, and at this point, I'll turn it over to Chief Delaney to help provide an overview of the proposed changes before we turn to the members of the public.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. I did want to go over what some highlights of some of these changes are. So I did put together a brief PowerPoint that we used with our LCMACs in the last couple of weeks that I thought I would be good to run through with you. So key changes for fiscal year 2025. The guidelines that have been distributed to all of the folks that are on this call, those will be there to implement these new changes to the program. The key change to our program is that we're really breaking it up into two separate grant programs. The first is the municipal block grant program, and the second is the regional agency grant program. And we'll go through each of those in a little bit more detail. The program is also being moved to a fiscal year, which shouldn't really result in too many changes to folks. We are providing some additional guidance to our applicants. That was one of the things that we heard from them, that they would like more specific guidance. Also, a request was that administrative costs be allowed to be charged against the program, which we will be doing, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. And then the other piece that we're talking about, in addition to the guidelines, is the proposed grant formula, and I'll go into some detail on that. So let's talk about the municipal block grant first. So right now, all currently eligible communities may participate in this program. There are no changes to eligibility at this time. The proposed grant amounts will be determined by a formula. As a block grant, it necessitates a formula in order for us to tell a community how much money they can expect to receive. Similar to previous years, we have 5 categories of grants. We have the community planning grant, public safety, transportation. That's a little different from previous years. We combined transportation planning and transportation construction into a single category of transportation. We have gambling harm reduction, which was new last year and continuing on into this year, and also specific impact. One of the major changes is that we will be receiving only 1 application per community. The communities will need to get together with the various groups in their town and decide how they want to spend the money amongst the categories. And again, we'll receive a single grant application, whereas in previous years we received we may have received multiple grant applications from one community. Applications are due January 31st, 2024. This is a hard deadline that's included in 23K. So if we don't receive an application by that date, we cannot consider that community. So that means any grant would be forfeited if we don't receive that. The regional agency grant. Regional agencies have always been eligible to apply for funds through us, and we have done that in a number of different ways. For this year, we're proposing 3 types of grants. One is a regional planning grant that would, the regional planning agencies would be eligible for that. Those being MAPC in the east, and PVPC in the west, and SERPED in the Category 2 area. And those are proposed for up to $250,000 for each region. Regional public safety grants, we have been doing these for a number of years. These are primarily for the district attorney's offices, but also other regional public safety agencies would be eligible. And then the third one is regional workforce development grants. We have been doing workforce development grants for a number of years. We did increase the amount for those grants up to $750,000 for each region. As I mentioned, other agencies may be eligible to apply, but we are in the guidelines asking that any agency that's not sort of one of the ones that's listed to please contact us ahead of time so we can discuss eligibility and what the impacts are and so on before anyone will come in for an application. With respect to additional guidance to applicants, what we tried to do here is attempting to make it easier for our communities to obtain community mitigation funds. And the first thing that we did was in each grant category, we identified casino-related impacts. Previously, we would say to the community, you need to identify the casino-related impact and be able to quantify that impact and then tell us how you're going to address it. And that was the singular most difficult piece of any of these applications because the quantification of impacts is rather difficult, as we found through our own research. So what we have done here in utilizing our own research and other jurisdictions' research and previous applications and some of the other things that we've done is in each category, we've identified several impacts that may be caused or associated with the gaming establishments. So in these cases, all a community has to do is choose one of those impacts, and we agree that that is an impact of the casino. So the communities don't have to try to quantify that impact. And then the second thing that we did was we identified a number of eligible projects or really potential projects that could address those impacts. Each community is going to be a little bit different, but we gave sort of a range of types of projects that we've seen in the past or that we think might be good projects to try to address some of these types of impacts. A community doesn't have to select from that list of projects, but as long as the project they're proposing addresses that impact that they selected, we can work with them to make sure those projects go ahead. And the other thing that we did was we also identified ineligible projects. Over the last few years, we've had some projects come in that were not eligible for funding. And so we tried to spell those out as best we could in the guidelines so that communities aren't asking for those types of things and then having us to have to deny an application. So other program changes, there's a few others. We talked about it now being on a state fiscal year. So our fiscal year is July 1st to June 30th, and that will be our the way this program works going forward. Up to 7.5% of the grant amount may be used for administrative expenses. We did put a cap on that of $50,000. So that will, help some of those communities, particularly the ones with the smaller grants, to be able to use some of those funds to help manage the administrative costs of the program. And then one other change was the subsidy for the transportation construction projects has been revised. We did hear from our communities asking for us to fund a larger percentage of construction costs. What we did here, though, is on larger projects, the subsidy is about the same as it was previously, but on smaller projects, we are proposing a sort of a sliding scale of grants. So a project up to $250,000 will fund 100% of that, and you can see as the projects get larger from this slide, that the total percent goes down. So again, it creates kind of a sliding scale for those. And we are still capping the maximum grant at $1.5 million in that category. In talking a little bit about the grant formula, you know, as a group, we sat down and we took input from a number of different groups to figure out what we should consider on this. And what we came down was 4 basic factors. The first one was that there should be a base grant amount, and we established those base grants in each of the regions based on how much money was available to those regions. And then secondly, we gave additional funds for those communities that were designated as host and surrounding communities. And then the largest portion really we based on the proximity of the community to the casino. So the notion here on this is that is simply that the further you are away from the casino, the smaller the impacts of the casino are. And so therefore, you know, host communities tended to get more than, and then the closer in communities received, you know, some lesser amount, and those amounts reduced as distance from the casino increased. And then the last one was a portion of the grant funds is based on traffic impact. And what we did was we used primarily the traffic distribution maps that were done as part of the environmental impact report process that showed, you know, for instance, you know, 8% of the traffic goes through this community and 4% through another community. And we utilized those studies to determine, you know, what the impacts are on the individual communities and distributed the monies based on those impacts. Now, in this case, for this first year, at least for the first year of this program, and maybe ongoing, we realized that instituting a new formula, it may not be perfect, but what we have done is we've included a waiver process in here. So if a community has been assigned a grant for a certain amount of money, and they identify that they have a project, a large-scale project that might exceed that amount, they can request a waiver from that. So what we're trying to do here is, and I think it's particularly with the transportation construction projects that typically have higher dollar value than some of the other projects that we do, that, you know, a situation could arise where a community, say, is proposed to get a $400,000 grant, but has a large construction project that would use the maximum $1.5 million grant for that. So in those cases, a community can come in and ask for a waiver. We will, of course, have to consider on how much money is available for that waiver. And also, you know, if we had 10 communities come in for waivers, we would have to sort of evaluate how much monies we had available and how much we could give to the communities. So those will be looked at on a case-by-case basis. And then the proposed grant amounts for the regions. Region A is 11.5 million, Region B is 4.3 million, and the Category 2 area is 500,000. And again, the reason these amounts differ between the regions is that our local community mitigation advisory committees and the commission have agreed that the money that is generated in Region A should stay within Region A, and the money that's generated in Region B should stay within Region B. And that is something that we've done consistently over the past several years. And I think that concludes my remarks. So I'll stop sharing, and I guess I will turn it back over to the chair, and I think we can then open up for a public comment.
Thank you, Chief Delaney. Very good overview of proposed changes. And now we're going to turn to our public input. Thomas Mills, our Director of Communications, is moderating for us and has been collecting the names of the participants and very pleased to see so many who are interested in participating today. So, Tom.
Yeah, yes, Chair. Thank you so much. We're dealing with a little bit of a technical issue right now where I think folks who registered might have shared their link with other individuals. I just want to remind the public that if you wish to speak, you do need to register to speak. It is an individualized link, so the links cannot be shared. The registration can be found on the Mass Gaming website on this meeting page. There are a number of folks waiting to speak who seem to be ready. So I'm going to start with Mayor Brianna Lungo-Cohen. I'm going to promote her to panelist right now.
Good afternoon, Mayor. Thank you for participating.
Thank you for having me. No, I just want to first thank you very much for trying to make it easier for cities and towns in and around a casino to be able to access these funds. I advocated for this approach back when you were discussing it a month or two ago, and I just really appreciate you taking our comments into consideration. One thing that I just heard, and I apologize I was a little late, is the community block grant approach will be used, which is wonderful. And the only thing I would ask that you consider is with the administration piece of the funds, where I think it could be up to 50,000, maybe that could be increased a bit for those communities that are getting a great deal of money, because Medford already gets $1 million with the community host agreement, and I think we're slated to get another $1 million. So 50,000 wouldn't get us a full-time position, but a little bit more than that could get us somebody to manage all of these funds that have come into our community. So my comments are brief. I just want to say thank you, and hopefully you do move this forward. There needs to be new steps. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will check in with my fellow commissioners. Do you have any questions at this time? No, I know they me and thanking you, Mayor.
Thank you.
For showing today. Thank you.
Okay, next up we have Andrew Krar. Promoting to a panelist right now.
Tom, do you mind introducing their titles and the locations so that my fellow commissioners and others participating know where they're from, please?
Of course.
Thank you.
Mr. Krar is the city engineer in the city of Springfield. Attempting to get him into the room. Mr. Krar, if you can accept that. Not, we will move on and we will try to come back to him. All right, we'll come back to Mr. Krar. Next, we have Timothy Sheehan. Mr. Sheehan is the Chief Development Officer in the city of Springfield.
Madam Chair, thank you very much for hosting the public hearing. The city of Springfield welcomes the block grant approach. We think that it's absolutely great. It's going to certainly reduce the volume of applications that come in. We typically put in quite a few. And ultimately, in 2022, the city received $2.6 million, and in 2023, we received a little bit over $3 million. The concern I have, though, is obviously the bulk of the impact from the casinos rests with the host communities. And ultimately, what I see from the formula is that the opportunity for us to get mitigation funding to associate with those impacts is now being capped at roughly 32% of what's available. So I kind of question the formula, would like to kind of revisit what you're looking at in terms of the formula. I don't know if there was an update to the traffic impacts relative to the casinos that's more informed than the initial traffic impact. And clearly we have an understanding of where all that traffic is flowing to and from at this point, now that the casinos have been up and operational for some time. But that is the request of the city of Springfield, is that you revisit the formula with regards to the block grant approach. But clearly we are very supportive of the block grant. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Hill, thank you, Chief Sheehan, and nice to see you. Commissioner Hill.
Chief Sheehan, it's always helpful to us if somebody who testifies may have an idea of what changes they would like to see. Do you have any suggestions?
As I said, Commissioner, I think it's been demonstrated pretty significantly that the host communities are dealing with more than 50% of the impacts associated with the casinos being in their community. So I think the formula should be looking at least 50% and or more based on those impacts.
Thank you.
Thank you, and it's good seeing you, Madam Chair.
Commissioners.
Madam Chair, if I may, thank you, Mr. Sheehan. And I must say, we've been out there a few times, and to see the progress that these funds have been used for is just exceptional, and we appreciate it. We do have an ability to petition for additional funds as projects come up. I just wanted to make sure that was noted, because it was really important, at least to me, and I think some of the fellow commissioners, that some sort of, we've been calling it a relief valve, exists. And I just wanted to note that and make sure that that was still the case with Joe. I'm looking at Joe right now, that's still built into the proposal.
Yes, it is. We have, it's a waiver process. Like I said, it would be based on, what funds we have available and so on. But yeah, there's definitely, that's the intent, and as of right now, there are, certainly some surplus funds that are in the program that will be spent down over time.
If I may, Madam Chair and Commissioners, I think the concern from the city's perspective is that is an application process. It's not built in as a specific percentage as the starting point for the formula.
Understood. Thank you for that comment.
Other questions or requests for clarification from Chief Sheehan? Chief Sheehan, just a reminder that the Gaming Commission will be holding its public meeting on next Thursday, a week from today, at Mass Mutual. I know that we won't be seeing the mayor, but if there's anyone at your office that wants to come by, we would love to see you.
Madam Chair, I look forward to seeing all the commissioners in Springfield, and certainly to Commissioner Maynard's comment, the investment that the commission has made in Springfield has been transformational.
Yes, yeah. So thank you. We appreciate your showing today, and we appreciate your comments, and look forward to seeing you today. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, commissioners.
Okay, Chair, next we have Acting Mayor Patrick Keefe from the City of Revere.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, Madam Chair. Thank you for inviting Revere to the conversation today. I wanted to also echo some of the sentiment from the other panelists. We also agree and feel good about the block grant style of the program. We think this will give the cities more autonomy on how to define and respond to the community impacts. A few of the comments we wanted to share regarding the block grant formula. One is there is a $200,000 allocation designated to surrounding communities. As you know, Revere unfortunately, well, specifically, former administrator 10 years ago made a really poor decision, misrepresenting the community. And Revere is not designated as a surrounding community. So the additional loss, another $200,000 by not being a surrounding community, does feel a little bit like salt in the wound. And we would beg for leniency on that poor decision by not signing in keeping an exclusive agreement 10 years ago. And we would hope that you would reconsider that additional $200,000 payment to the community of Revere. The other comment I wanted to make was regarding the formula sent out earlier in the fall had proposed an additional $168,000 to the city of Revere. That calculation has since been cut, up to my understanding, because it's excluding Route 1 as considered roadway that impacts the local communities. As we all know, the traffic study that was done for this program was done in 2013. Since then, the traffic has changed significantly, and Route 1 should be considered, certainly for Revere. When Route 60 and Route 16 back up, Route 1, certainly the backups from Route 1 spread that impact into Revere very much so. So I'd ask that you take that into consideration. We are going to be submitting all of our comments in writing so that you have them a little more clear. But again, we appreciate what you're doing, and we're just hoping that you can reconsider the poor judgment made 10 years ago by not signing a surrounding community agreement. As you know, Revere has not benefited at the same lengths that Malden, Medford, and Melrose, and Somerville, and Boston have, and we are a direct abutter to the Everett Casino.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Commissioners, I want to make sure that we're all clear as to the comments that the mayor has made with respect to the history. If everybody knows the history, then fine. Otherwise, Chief Delaney could just give a quick summary. Would you appreciate Chief Delaney's comments, or are we all set? I need a thumbs up. Oh, we don't. Okay, you're all set. All set, Commissioner Maynard. All set, Commissioner Skinner. Okay, so the history is understood, Mr. Mayor. Thank you so much. With respect to Route 1 versus Route 16, do we need any clarifications on that at this time? Everybody else set on that? Thumbs up, thumbs up. Okay, excellent. Thank you for bringing your comments to us, Mr. Mayor. We appreciate very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. Okay.
I'm just going to ask if Mr. Carrar could use the raise hand function. I currently have 4 different versions of Mr. Carrar in the meeting, so I just want to make sure I know which one to promote to a panelist. Thank you very much. If you could do that, I appreciate it. Okay, next we have Brian Elliott, who is a lieutenant with the Springfield Police Department. Mr. Elliott, Lieutenant Elliott, if you can unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're good for now. I may have erroneously selected my hand to be raised, but we have no question at this time.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. That was an error on my behalf.
So you wanted to listen, but you are not bringing any particular input to us today.
Yes, that's correct. We had a login issue, so I may have erroneously put myself in a position to ask a question, but we're good for now.
So, Lieutenant, let me take this opportunity to thank you and your colleagues for your service in Springfield. The safety of the patrons and the employees is paramount. Gaming Commission, and we appreciate you and your colleagues' service every day and certainly every evening. Thank you so much.
We appreciate your support. This funding does help out quite a bit. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Chair. Next we have Emily Granoff from the City of Chelsea Housing and Community Development Department, Senior Planner and Project Manager.
Hi, Ms. Granoff. Hi, we can hear you just fine. It's nice to see you. We've had a visit or two to Chelsea to see some of our community mitigation funds at work. But it's nice to see you and thank you for your input today.
Yeah, thank you. Chelsea's done a lot of great projects with the community mitigation funding that we've received. I think by and large, Chelsea is very happy both with the transition to a block grant program, which is really exciting for us just from a lens of stability of funding over a period of years. And also, I think that we're pretty happy with the formula. I think that one question we would want to put forward to the commission is about the workforce development funding and whether there is any opportunity to broaden the groups that can apply for that, or whether that is something that could be factored into the municipal grants, just because right now Mass Hire does a good chunk of the work with that funding in our region at least. And in Chelsea, we've seen some ways that it doesn't reach all of our community, which is very diverse, majority Latinx, majority Spanish speaking, preparing and offering training for jobs that are in the not just hospitality, but the whole host of industries related to the operation of the casino and associated hotel.
Questions, commissioners?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Hill.
So I don't have any questions, Emily, but I think more for our staff moving forward. This is something I would like to look into. And I think it's a pretty good idea that we could maybe make some expansions to this program. So thank you for the suggestion, but let's see what we can do to be helpful in this endeavor. I would say to my fellow commissioners.
Can I follow up, Commissioner Hill, just to your earlier questions and one of the prior participants? Do you have specific language or ideas in mind, Ms. Granoff?
So I think that Alex Train, who is the director of my department, does. And we were going to talk about that when he returns from work, returns from vacation in a few days. So unfortunately, I don't have that for you right now, but I can send you specific suggestions in follow-up if that's acceptable.
Yeah, that would be great. I know we have a deadline for written comments, but I see Chief Delaney, and he's going to we keep our communication channels always open. So Chief Delaney.
So I think a couple of things on this. We did receive a written letter of comments from Chelsea a couple of weeks ago, actually, even before this went out for public comment. So I will make sure that all the commissioners get a copy of that. And that did bring up this issue regarding the workforce development. And I think on the other piece of this, you know, if a local community has some ideas with respect to workforce development, under the specific impact grant, that specific impact grant is sort of for that category where where it isn't covered under anything else. I would say, I can't say absolutely for certain, but I would think that they would be able to come in under that category. Again, they would have to identify what the particular impact is of the casino and how that workforce program might address that at a community level. I mean, what we certainly require on our larger workforce grants is that it has to be sort of a consortium approach. It has to be a regional approach. But we have done other workforce type things. I think, in fact, was it Chelsea and Revere who were working on one together to come up? Anyway, I can't remember the exact details, but I know that we did something that was sort of workforce related that wasn't one of our larger workforce grants.
We'll make a note of that. Thank you. Any other questions or comments from Ms. Vela? Okay. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, Chair, just before I go to the next, I just want to remind folks who are watching who may have registered to speak that you need to log in using the email which you registered to be brought into the room. So if that might be an issue, please just re-register and you'll get a new link, but log in with the email that you used to register. Next on the speakers list is Northampton Mayor Gina Louise Shara.
Before we go, should we be trying to email the folks who are having, do we have manpower?
They're,
Doing that?
yep,
Okay.
we're in communication.
Excellent, thank you.
Hi.
Hi, Madam Mayor, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you? Sorry, it took me a second to make sure you could see me.
No sorries. We're always thrilled when technology works. We never have an expectation that it will. So here we are.
Indeed. Good afternoon. Thank you so much, Chair Judd Stein, the honorable, excuse me, commissioners of the Massachusetts Gaming Commission. Thank you for the opportunity to address you. I'm Gina Louise Shara, the mayor of the city of Northampton. And I am here to share my very enthusiastic support for transitioning the Massachusetts Gaming Commission's grant funding formula to a casino mitigation block grant model. This innovative approach to allocating resources has the potential to greatly benefit Northampton and other eligible communities by providing much needed flexibility and additional funding for addressing the unique needs and challenges that arise from the presence of the MGM casino in our region. Northampton, as a Region B community, has certain needs and priorities that differ significantly from those in the Region A communities. The current model, which restricts us from allocating a certain percentage of dollar amounts to each fund's categories, doesn't effectively address our specific challenges. I firmly believe that the city should have the authority to determine our priorities and then direct the block grant funds to effectively address the issues that matter most in our community. Notably, the city would propose that regional transportation initiatives, such as Valley Bike Share here, be funded as a single allocation. Valley Bike Share, the first bike share program in the Pioneer Valley and the first pedal assist bike share program in New England, which has Northampton as the lead community, serves other Region B communities such as Holyoke, Chicopee, West Springfield, and Springfield. And this approach would foster collaboration and enhance the efficiency of these critical services, ultimately benefiting all of the communities that are involved. I would also urge the commission to continue supporting our vital marketing initiatives like the website northampton.live. These marketing tools are instrumental in mitigating the impact of the MGM casino on our tourism market by enabling us to reach a wider audience and promote the unique attractions and the experiences that Northampton has to offer. We have the opportunity to preserve our local tourism industry here. So I very much look forward to the commission incorporating the request and the needs of the Region B communities in the final version of the block grant program. We view this transition as a really exciting opportunity for Region B communities to tailor resources and initiatives to best suit our needs. And we're committed to working collaboratively to make this process a success. And I just appreciate you taking the time to listen to me and to address these challenges that we face in these communities. Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners. Questions for the mayor?
Madam Chair, all I would say is I love your enthusiasm.
Thank you. We're known for that here in Northampton.
Yeah, I have backed the website development project. I know we provided a good amount of assistance there, and I like how you frame it to preserve your local tourism. And I like to think there's leveraging what has happened in Springfield for Northampton. So thank you for mentioning that. I know that our team here is ready to collaborate with you, and I suspect that you've had a great experience with them. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, all set, commissioners? All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Michael.
All right, and the next registered speaker is Eric Weiss, the Director of Economic and Municipal Collaboration with the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. Strange. Try that one more time.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
We
we
got you.
can. We can
Should I
hear you.
start?
Then, and now we can see you.
There we go. I got it all
right.
figured out here. Good afternoon, and thank you for letting me speak. I want to say that we are a recipient of one of those grants this year, and we appreciate that very much, and we're working very hard on that. I also wanted to comment that I think that the meetings that you had, they did a really excellent job listening to the comments they got back and incorporating them into this document. And then I also want to recognize that you are putting money aside for the RPAs, of which I work for, the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. And we see this as an innovative and really strong approach to do many good things for the region with. As you know, we all believe that Springfield is moving up and moving ahead, and the casino is part of that, and using these funds to help the region is something we all believe in. And so if there are innovative ways for these funds to be used within the region, we would love to be part of those discussions, but we also know that we also want to recognize that just acknowledging that the RPAs can help out in the region is a good thing. And we look forward to working with our towns on all the various pieces that are out there.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Weiss, for contributing today. Commissioners, questions? All set then. Thank you for your time today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Just a quick note as well to those attendees that have their hands raised. I see you. You're on my list. I'm just going in the order of registration, so I will we'll get to you. Next on the registered speakers list is Sergeant Stephen Riccardi of the Ludlow Police Department. Mr. Riccardi just put in the chat that he is just listening, so I will move on.
And thank you for tuning in. We appreciate that.
Next on the list is the chief of the Ludlow Police, Daniel Valadas.
Good afternoon, Chief.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for inviting members from my community. I just wanted to say thank you to the commission. In the past few years, we've received some very beneficial grants that have helped us do some things as far as law enforcement related activities. And my staff is very much appreciative. I do think that at some point in time, the commission is going down a path of making it the block grant, widening the scope, if you will. I think that was something that's going to be very fortuitous for many communities. But again, that's my 2 cents. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciate your support.
Chief, I'm going to speak on behalf of my fellow commissioners. We thank you for your service and to your colleagues. I know that Sergeant Riccardi is just listening, but we thank you and your colleagues very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next on the registered speakers list is Springfield Police Department Lieutenant Ronald Sheehan.
All right, can you hear me now? All right, thank you very much for inviting us for the meeting once again with the other officers from Springfield. Just basically tuning in, we had some technical difficulties going to the gaming website to see the YouTube video and streaming that. So at the last minute, we all joined the chat to or the panel through the link that was provided. That was the only way we could get in. So I apologize for the confusion as far as that's concerned. As far as the city of Springfield, the police department is concerned, we're very very grateful for the mitigation funds that have been provided to us to effectively enforce some problems that we are having down in the downtown area based on the presence of the casino. There's been an increase in the general homelessness problem that's occurring, and we've received grants to address some outreach programs for that, and also for some traffic control issues that have popped up due to the presence of the casino that were unanticipated. So once again, we thank you very much for those funds, and we continue to hope to be able to receive and solve some of the issues that are popping up since the casino's arrival.
Thank you, Lieutenant Sheehan, and thank you for your service, and we appreciate your additional comments. Any questions, Commissioner? We're all set. Thank you, Lieutenant.
Chair, if you don't mind, Lieutenant, can I assume then that Officer Pamante is just listening in as well?
That's correct.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay. Next on the registered speakers list. Gonna try Mr. Krar again. Think still having a little bit of issue there. Okay. The next on the registered speakers list is the executive director of the Springfield Parking Authority, Boku, and I apologize for mispronouncing your last name, Buhuya.
And I'm sorry, could you say the title again, please?
The executive director of the Springfield
Yes.
Parking Authority.
Yep, I need to scroll down. Thanks, Mills.
Okay, it's possible.
Let's see. Oh, I see on the chat. I'm just listening.
Just listening. Okay, good to know.
Thank you.
All right.
And
then next on the registered speakers list is the transportation coordinator from the city of Revere, Julie DeMauro. Okay. All right, we'll come back there. It's possible that individual is also just listening. Next on the list is the city planner from the city of Malden, Andrew McGula.
Yes, hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay.
And now we can see you too.
Wonderful. First of all, I was one of the folks who apparently got the Windstream link secondhand and ended up spending about 20 minutes on a call with 10 or 15 people and no one from the Gaming Commission. So I just wanted to ask, is a recording of the presentation going to be available to the public after this call? And if so, where?
Yes, Andrew. All recordings of all of our meetings live either on our website or on the Massachusetts Gaming Commission YouTube page.
Okay, thank you so much. And I also wanted to ask, again, maybe I missed this because I missed the presentation, but how the Gaming Commission is thinking about matching requirements going forward. My understanding is that in the past, matches were preferred and not required for receiving community mitigation funds, but I had trouble verifying that when I tried earlier. I'm not sure that preference is still relevant under the new block grant format, but I just like to ask how necessary matches are while I still have you here.
Chief Delaney?
The only category that we do require a match in is the transportation construction category. And there's a new method of distributing those funds. It's more of a sliding scale. We used to provide 1/3, and now we'll provide 100% of the project cost up to 250,000, and then it sort of reduces down from there. So when you get up to about a $4 million project, it's back down to that 1/3. So it's a little bit more of a sliding scale, but that's the only one that we require match on and will continue to.
Thank you. And so was it 1/3 before as well?
Yeah.
That you provided? Okay.
In all of the other categories, there was no match particularly required. We always encourage there to be some match, some in-kind services or something like that. But that was never a hard and fast, dollar for dollar kind of match.
Okay, great. And for my records, would I be able to verify that on somewhere on your website?
Yeah, in the guidelines, the guidelines outline what the match requirements are.
Okay.
You know, the particular provision where on that match would be under for the transportation construction. That's where you have that in the scale.
Yeah, under the transportation section in the guidelines, it talks about that particular piece.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Sorry that you ended up in that virtual world all alone, or not with your
It's okay.
preferred company. But again, as Mills said,
I definitely wasn't alone.
you weren't alone. And
Yeah.
as Tom said, all of our meetings are fully recorded, and just a matter of how we did today's session. So thank you.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you for doing this.
Any questions?
I think
Okay, and you're all set on your question? All right, thank you.
It's a good note for us, Chair, to be more explicit that when you register for one of these, you need to sign in with the email that you registered at. So I appreciate that note. So
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
so
working nicely, Tom. It's working just fine.
yeah. So the last registered speaker on our list is the Senior Transportation Program Manager from the City of Cambridge, Bill Degnan.
Hello, good afternoon. Everybody, I'm Bill Degnan with the City of Cambridge Community Development Department, and thanks for having this meeting and hearing. I think we do appreciate this new format of the block grant. I think this will be a much more efficient way for communities to access these funds. So I do appreciate you coming forward with this suggestion. I did have one question in looking at the formula. That Cambridge is not getting an allocation based on traffic, even though Cambridge has 6.4% of the proximity total of traffic, and other surrounding communities are allocated something based on that. So I was just curious if you could clarify why that is.
Yeah, so when we assign the traffic amount, we used the traffic distribution maps that were prepared as part of the project, and essentially those distribution maps were they broke things down to the minimum was about 1% of the traffic. Anything below that was not really counted. So they were showing really no increases that exceeded sort of 1% going into Cambridge. So, there was nothing that we had showing that essentially most of the traffic that's coming out through Sullivan Square is either continuing on down Rutherford Ave and getting on 93 South, or they turn up to the north and get on 93 North with very little traffic going into Cambridge at all, other than that that might be generated locally by the community itself. The original traffic study studied Land Boulevard and the McGrath-O'Brien Highway and didn't really show impacts from the casino on that. That was the only intersection in Cambridge that was studied. So based on that, there was just no information that showed that there was any kind of a significant traffic impact from the casino on the community.
Yeah, I guess I would request that that be relooked at. I mean, everything coming from the Mass Turnpike would need to go through Cambridge in some respect to get up to the casino. So there would definitely be impacts within Cambridge. So I think in our last, some communications, we've asked that additional traffic impact studies be done from casino patrons to better understand the traffic impacts. And so I would appreciate it if the Gaming Commission would look into that further.
Questions, commissioners? Commissioner O'Brien.
It's not so much a question as maybe some clarity, Joe. If you could put a little more context into the traffic studies that you're talking about, not stuff that the Gaming Commission actually conducted.
Yeah, no, these were all done as part of the environmental impact report or the studies that Encore is required to do, subsequent to opening. So yeah, these are third-party studies. These aren't things that we conducted ourselves.
But I guess
And
you're basing your formula on that, and it doesn't feel as though they're very thorough or updated. So I guess I would request that there be some way that those be updated.
So I guess my only comment back to Mr. Degnan is that Encore has expressed intentions and is, going through a process to expand. And I'm sure you guys could have communications with them in terms of the Gaming Commission doesn't actually conduct the traffic studies ourselves. So you would have the opportunity always to communicate with Encore.
Yeah, I'm not aware of Encore being in touch with us about any additional studies.
It would probably be the request you're making of us, I guess, is another way of saying the request you're making of us would probably be more fruitfully made to Encore, particularly given the posture that they're in and potentially expanding.
Okay, well, we can certainly do that. It's hard to have you base your formula on a study that they do with no ability for us to request that you relook at that formula. I guess it just doesn't make sense that there be no impact or traffic coming through Cambridge. There are definitely, a lot of traffic has to come through Cambridge to get to the casino. So
Do you have any data on that?
we don't, because we can't request of the patrons where they're coming from without known origins, but we would certainly assume that many people are coming from the Mass Turnpike, which exits right there, across from Cambridge, across the river in Alston, and people have to come over to Cambridge in some way to go north. There are many different routes that they can do that. So, there's no way for us to actually gain that data because we don't have access to the patrons or a survey of patrons.
I guess I wonder if you had done any kind of a data collection to show once the casino opened, had there been any kind of increases in your traffic patterns? I just thought maybe you might have that data.
No, I don't believe communities generally did that.
Okay, any other questions for Mr. Degnan? We appreciate your inquiry. I know that you're probably not satisfied with the answer, but that doesn't mean, today's a hearing. So this allows us to reflect upon the comments. We may not have the perfect answer right now, but we're going to, think about all of the comments today. So you've heard a response today, but we will reflect on that and try to be as helpful as possible. At the very least, perhaps Encore might even be interested in hearing this, and so they may have already heard you. We never know who's watching our hearings. So thank you.
Thanks. I appreciate the opportunity to comment.
Thank you so much.
Chair, that exhausts the list of registered speakers. We did have two.
Check, yeah, I thought we had a couple of people, maybe they.
Yeah, so we did have two folks who we called and they did not respond. So
Okay.
I'd like to call them again if that works.
Certainly, we need to keep this meeting open to 1:30. So commissioners, at this time, we can just pause and then Tom will invite us back.
Well, I'd like to see if the folks who I called previously that did not respond might be back at their computers.
Right.
So
Hit pause and you put a screen up. Is that the right way?
Nope. I'm just going to call them right now and
Yeah,
promote them to a panelist. Is the way that we'll go ahead and try to do this. So Andrew Krar from the city of Springfield, the city engineer. And as try to, it seems like Mr. Carr is still not responding. And the only other individual who was called and did not respond just actually left the meeting. So I will take that as an indication that they were just listening.
Madam Chair, in our chat, he just said he's listening.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I accidentally is that Mr. Carr that has the chat? Okay. What about the individual from Attleboro?
They did not join the meeting.
They did not come to the meeting. Okay. Is anybody else then?
There were a couple folks who registered and did not join the meeting, but everybody else who has registered to speak is either spoken or indicated that they were just listening.
Okay. So then our next step would be to pause, right? And if others come in, you'll alert us, commissioners, and then because this is a public meeting too, we'll have a formal adjournment. Any questions, commissioners, any comments? Anything you want to say? All right. Thanks. We'll pause it for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Tom, thank you. You or Dave want to bring down the screen?
Yep, just 1 second.
Thanks so much. Great. So commissioners will do a roll call because we took a short break. Oh, look, there he is, Commissioner Hill. Good afternoon again, Commissioner Bryan.
Hi, I'm here.
Thanks, Commissioner Hill.
Hello, I'm here.
Okay, and Commissioner Skinner
Good afternoon.
and Commissioner Maynard.
Good afternoon.
Okay. Tom, do we have any additional names?
No other individuals registered to speak at this time.
Okay, so it's 1:30. Joe, Mary, Lily, thank you. You did a great outreach and really had a nice showing today. We learned a lot. So thank you for the efforts to affirmatively reach out. And then, of course, to Mills and Dave, thank you for your communications out as well. Anything else, commissioners? Motion to adjourn. Is that about it?
Yep. Move to adjourn.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Second.
Okay. Any questions, edits? Okay, Commissioner O'Brien.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner.
Aye.
Commissioner Maynard.
Aye.
I vote yes. 5-0. Thanks, everyone. This meeting's concluded. We appreciate all the public input. Thanks. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Aye.